The kids who picked on others figured that if they humiliated the black girl right in the middle of the high school hallway, she'd finally keep quiet for good. But what they didn't realize was that their cruelty set off something powerful inside her mother, a storm strong enough to shake the entire system that had always protected privilege and silence. The bell had just rung, and the hallways were buzzing with noise, chatter, footsteps echoing off the walls, and the constant slam of locker doors. Madison Walker kept her head down, gripping her backpack tight as she tried to slip through the crowd unnoticed. She'd only been at Roosevelt High for a week, but the stares and whispers never let up. Today, though, something in the air felt heavier, like she was walking straight into a trap she couldn't escape. Out of nowhere, a voice cut through the chaos, "Hey, intruder." It was Tyler Johnson. He towered over everyone in his blue and gold varsity jacket, clutching a wooden bat like it belonged to the uniform. Right behind him stood his crew, Jake Miller, Ryan Brooks, and Ashley Reed. Together, they strutted through the halls like they owned the place, because in a way, they did. Tyler's father's foundation poured money into the school, so the teachers looked the other way and pretended not to notice the trouble his son stirred up. Tyler stepped right in front of Madison, twisted his wrist, and smacked her bag from her hands, sending her books scattering across the tile floor. He sneered, "What's this junk? Planning to fight us with it?" His voice dripped with contempt as Madison shrank back, only to hit the cold metal of a locker behind her. A circle of students formed quickly. Phones came out, and a red recording light blinked to life. Ashley's voice rang out over the noise, "We're live. Let's get this on the internet." Jake slammed the bat against a locker, the hollow sound echoing like a drumbeat that rattled Madison's bones. She crouched to grab one of her books, but Tyler's foot knocked it away. "Who do you think you are?" he barked. "Walking down my hallway with that smug face? I make the rules here." At the far end of the hall, Mr. Thompson, the math teacher, froze in place. His lesson plan shook in his hands, but his legs wouldn't move. Everyone knew he didn't dare risk his job by stepping in, not against the Johnson family. Tyler raised the bat high, the polished wood gleaming under the fluorescent lights, and the crowd roared in anticipation. Phones zoomed in, the comments flooding in real time. "I'm gonna hit you. And the whole world's gonna see it," Tyler threatened, then swung the bat down with merciless force. Madison's world went black. Minutes later, paramedics rushed her limp body through the school doors, sirens wailing in the background. Back in the classroom, the faint smell of disinfectant lingered while fear hung heavy in the air. Machines beeped steadily beside Madison's hospital bed, thin wires running from her like fragile lifelines. The doctor's words sliced through the silence like glass. Madison was fighting for her life. But her injuries weren't the only battle. The harder fight was against the truth itself, which was already being twisted and buried. By the next morning, the official report didn't say she'd suffered a concussion from an assault, it simply listed her condition as an accident. Nurses whispered nervously among themselves, one muttering, "This came from upstairs." Orders with the killer's name stamped all over it. How far would the rich and powerful go to cover their tracks? What would you do if your child's life was rewritten with a lie? And so, the story began to spread. The next moment belonged to Jessica Walker, Madison's mother. She marched into the hospital wearing combat boots, her posture straight and unyielding, the way only a soldier could carry themselves. A veteran with scars of her own, Jessica had faced battlefields before, but nothing could have prepared her to see her daughter unconscious, her body marked with bruises. She didn't break down. She didn't scream. She leaned in close, whispered softly, "It's okay, baby. I swear to you, justice will be ours." Right then, Jessica's instincts kicked in. She demanded Madison's medical records, but the staff stalled, eyes darting nervously. She asked for the school's camera logs, only to be told the system was down for maintenance. Everywhere she turned, the trail was blocked, the evidence scrubbed clean as if by design. But not everyone was willing to stay quiet. At the hospital, a security guard named Mark Stevens approached her. A former trainee himself, he told Jessica the truth without hesitation: they're trying to bury this. Robert Hayes and David Turner are in Johnson's pocket. If you want to fight back, you'll need evidence nobody can deny. That night, Mr. Daniels, the school's tech teacher, slipped Jessica a flash drive. The media club kids backed up all the live streams, even the ones that were deleted. If you want proof, here it is. Jessica clenched her jaw, accepting it without a word. Slowly, allies began to step forward. Teachers who had reached their breaking point. Students brave enough to stand up to Tyler and his crew. Standing outside her daughter's hospital room, Jessica whispered again, this time with fire in her voice, they want to call this an accident, but I'll call it what it was, an attack. They want silence, but I'll start a storm. And in that moment, the balance of power began to shift. The Johnson family had money and influence. But Jessica Walker had something stronger, an unshakable determination. Jessica Walker finally had a plan. That Monday, Roosevelt High's hallways buzzed louder than usual, filled with whispers that rippled like waves through the crowd. Rumors about Madison, rumors about Tyler, everyone could sense something bigger was brewing. Principal Robert Hayes tried to wear a forced smile as if nothing was wrong. But Jessica was already waiting for him in his office. Without hesitation, she dropped the broken flash drive onto his desk. His smile faltered. Mrs. Walker, Hayes stammered, there's no mistake. This was just an accident. Jessica's glare could have cut glass. Her words froze the room, my daughter wasn't in an accident. She was attacked. Vice Principal David Turner shifted uncomfortably in his chair, tugging at his tie. The cameras were offline, he muttered. There's nothing to prove otherwise. Jessica leaned in, her voice low but sharp. You're lying. And I'll prove it. That afternoon, Mark Stevens met Jessica quietly in the parking lot and slipped her a folder of maintenance logs. Inside was proof that the cameras hadn't gone down by accident, they'd been disabled on purpose. Meanwhile, in the media lab, Mr. Daniels and his students worked late into the night. Tyler's crew had been trying to wipe parts of the live stream, but the kids managed to pull the footage back. What they uncovered was damning: a video of Vice Principal Turner carrying a bat wrapped in a trash bag out of the gym, and another clip of Tyler screaming at Madison right before swinging. When the restored footage flickered across the monitor, the room went silent. Everyone knew, this was the moment to bring the truth to light. The very next day, the gym was packed for a student assembly. Parents filled the bleachers, teachers lined the walls, and Tyler lounged in the front row with his usual cocky grin, convinced he was untouchable. Then Jessica walked onto the stage with Mr. Daniels by her side. She plugged in her laptop, and the projector came alive. First, the maintenance logs exposed the interference. Then, the video of Turner hiding the bat flashed on screen. Gasps swept through the crowd. Finally, the footage everyone thought was gone forever played, the clip of Tyler raising the bat at Madison. The speakers echoed with screams, shouts, and the sound of Madison's fall. In that moment, the lie shattered. Parents jumped to their feet, students began chanting, "Justice for Madison! Justice for Madison!" Tyler's smirk vanished, his face draining pale, while Jessica's voice thundered through the gym. You can silence teachers. You can buy staff. But you can't bury the truth. The Johnson family's illusion of power cracked wide open. By dawn, the hashtag Justice for Madison had exploded across social media. The video was everywhere, shared by students, parents, and complete strangers who couldn't believe what they saw. It spread like wildfire, unstoppable. The very next morning, police investigators walked into Roosevelt High with a court order. They seized phones, hard drives, and encrypted emails. What they uncovered was a web of corruption linking Principal Hayes, Vice Principal Turner, and Richard Johnson. The cover-up was undeniable. They even dug up the bat, hidden deep in the school's storage room, still stained with Madison's blood and locker paint. Randall Myers, a coach loyal to the Johnsons, broke during interrogation. He admitted he'd helped destroy evidence but claimed he'd only been following orders. His confession snapped the last defense around Tyler. The Board of Education had no choice. Hayes was fired on the spot and arrested for obstruction of justice. Turner was cuffed and led out of the building. Coach Myers was permanently banned from working with students. And Tyler Johnson was officially charged with assault, evidence tampering, and aggravated battery. 2 weeks later, Madison opened her eyes. Her body was weak, but she was alive. Jessica rushed to her side as Madison whispered, voice trembling, details no one had heard yet. Ashley Reed had egged Tyler on right before the attack. Her testimony crushed any lingering claims that it had all been an accident. But Jessica's fight didn't stop with her daughter. She teamed up with attorney Rachel Green and parents across the district to push through a 12-point reform plan. Their demands were clear: independent security cameras, whistleblower protection, automatic reporting of incidents to police, and harsh penalties for tampering with evidence. The school board adopted the plan as the Madison Initiative, and soon after, state lawmakers passed it into law, reshaping school safety across the state. 2 years later, Roosevelt High stood transformed, a place of transparency and safety. In the main hall, a bronze plaque read, "The day Madison fell was the day the truth rose." Madison grew stronger each day, walking the halls again with her head held high. And Jessica wasn't just seen as a protective mother anymore, she became a symbol of how one woman's determination could turn suffering into change. The bullies thought they could silence one girl. Instead, they sparked a storm that tore down an empire of lies. Because no matter how deep you try to bury it, the truth always finds its way out. And when people rise together, justice changes everything.